Hey guys, now for something completely different. Um, it's not like Carlson's lab or anything like that, but talking with my buddy J-Man in PEI a week or so back, he was saying how he had his Fusion out and he had put a Fralyn resistor in there, but when he went to the gig with it, when he pulled it to single coil, the output still drops too much, and he was saying, I wish, you could have some kind of an amplifier that when you pulled it to single coil, you get the same output as what the humbucker sounds like, and you don't have to worry about boost pedals and stuff like that. Well, you could do it with a boost pedal. You could have a dedicated boost pedal on your pedal board, and if you go to single coil, you could just stomp on it, and you have it set so that it will go to humbucker mode. And that is the easiest, cheapest thing to do if you've already got a boost pedal. But I was thinking, what if it was inside the guitar, right? So I went and looked at my guitar and I saw this. So I opened up my Fusion and I took a look inside and I'm thinking, there's not a lot of space. But there would be something like maybe a space here to be able to put a 9-volt battery. Actually, I was thinking about 12-volt batteries initially and running it on a 12, and they look kind of like this. They're like photographic. And I put it in there and I thought, okay, that fits in there. Well, just one of them. It's a 2-pack for now. And I figure, oh, okay, I need a holder for here. So I thought, all right, let's go with a 12-volt source. And then I thought, well, okay, if I can make the breadboard small enough, I can probably move this wire out of the way, and I could stick a little circuit board across here, wire it up to the switch, and bring the battery source from over here to the circuit board. And maybe I could put an amplifier in here. So I started thinking about that. And I went to the drawing board and I came up with the idea that I might be able to actually design an amplifier to do the trick. So I didn't have any breadboarding stuff anymore, because when I left Montreal, moved back to Toronto in 2006, I threw out my breadboarding stuff, my dual oscilloscope, my power supplies, everything, except for this 12 volter that I built a long time ago out of an LM723 regulator. I kept that, was in a box. So I thought that's why I was going to design it with 12 volts, because I have a power supply that I can use while I'm doing the design to help me out. And then I thought, okay, I can move to this bigger 12 volt battery that reduces the hum that I was getting from that one to 0. And this is the battery that goes into the electric brakes on my trailer. Perfect solution. And then when I started thinking about the 12 volts and I was trying to get a holder for those batteries I showed you, which I left at the other bench now, I thought, damn, I can't really find a holder that works for those things, so I decided to go for a standard 9 volter. So I originally designed the circuit for 12, which is what this one was up here, so never mind that one. I had 2 stages of 12. So I had to redesign it for a 9 volt battery that also fits in the corner on the Fusion, and getting a connector for this is really easy. And there's also, square plug-in connectors for that if you want to put one in, or you could put a piece of alien tape on the side of your battery and just stick it against the wall and it'll stay in place. So either one of those ideas will work. So I decided just to go to a 9 volt battery, redesign the circuit, and try to get it so that it has the lowest possible battery drain for life of a battery. And so I went from the 12 volt circuit stage and I redesigned it for 9. And what happens when it comes out of the first stage. It goes in through the capacitor because it's an AC signal, and you have to isolate your input signal from the battery source so that that doesn't feed back into your guitar. You don't want that. So you need a capacitor which passes AC but blocks DC. Standard, easy to get 2N2222A general purpose transistor. You can design for a gain of up to 100 on this thing. But I only wanted a gain of 2. Now when it comes out of this first stage, it goes in like that, but it comes out inverted, as if you had turned the pickup around or rewired the guitar so that you'd have, you know, out of phase pickups. I've been playing around with it at a distance with my wireless transmitters. I blew up a set because I stupidly put 12 volts across the output of my transmitter and I blew it up, so I had to buy a new set. I was trying to see if it made a big enough difference, but from here across to the other side of my basement, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't hear a difference, like they were out of phase or any problems with it whatsoever. So what I wanted to do is get the output here as high as what would normally be put directly past this to the amplifier by the humbucker. And what have I done here? I've also put, yes, something I haven't put in the circuit. I've put a 200K variable resistor in here to be able to adjust the signal in to get exactly out what I want, depending on what kind of humbucker you've got. Some humbuckers could be more powerful than others. So in order to get out what you want to hear, you can adjust how much of the signal hits the transistor and gets amplified. So that's what this little trim pot does right here. So anyway, it seems to be working. Now I don't know if I'm going to need a second stage, and if I do, I'm going to have to move, you know, a bit of this setup over to my desk so I can get closer to my amplifier and listen. I also want to record the output from the amplifier with the into Audacity so I can see the waveform on a string, pick a string, and see what Audacity looks like when it goes through a single stage versus the humbucker or around it, which is with no amplifier, and see what the wavelengths look like on the Audacity, the waveforms I should say, and make a decision if I have to go to another stage with a unity gain, where the gain would now be 1. So I'd want this gain over here to be a 1. I'll write on that, 1. So that all it would do was invert this signal again back to the same as what it went in, the other way around, so that you don't have any out of phase noises or changes in your signal if you don't want that. And then all I have to do is adjust the bias here and pick this resistor so that when I adjust here, my output here would be a gain of 1 over this or 1 over this, depending on what you like to hear from your single coil when you pull the switch. So I had designed that into, I don't know if I have it here or not, and so it would be sort of in the circuit like this. Let me get my glasses up close to show you. So what would happen is, and I designed it here just on this as a, you know, the 2 stages going in, that the battery goes inside, and now normally what we do is we put this Fralyn resistor in here so that when you pull it up to split, and you instead of grounding this directly to the ground, it goes through the resistor, which keeps the second coil on a little bit, so it doesn't seem to drop as much. So it's really not a full coil split when you do this, it's a semi-split, and you have to pick this resistor based on the pickup and what you want to hear out from it. Now over here and this was the Fusion. I had put a resistor here in my Fusion, so I took it out and I made the jumper go directly to ground so that when you pull this thing up, you can turn on the battery and switch the signal that's coming out of the pot, going here, going out and through the switch and going out to your jack. When it's not pulled, it's going straight out as a humbucker. When you pull it up, it'll switch the signal to the top lug, come down here, come into the amplifier circuit. It also turns the ground for the battery on because the battery positive is connected all the time. So it redirects it to the amplifier when you pull it up, and this ground also splits the coil at the same time and turns the battery on. Then you get your amplified signal out, goes back to pin A over here, and gets switched out to the jack. So technically it looks like it's feasible, right? It's just a matter of getting this circuit right. And of course it won't be the same for every guitar you'd want to put it into, because the characteristic of the pickups will make a difference as to how many windings they have, what kind of output it will have with its reactance and capacitance and all that crap. So that's why I've made an adjustment on this circuit here to be able to set that. So this is what I'm working on right now, and I'll just have my little West Creek racer here that I'm using as my input signal, because the pickup on that, the neck, I did not put a Fralyn resistor in it, so it's handy. I don't have to do anything with it. With my Fusion, I'd have to go in and take out that resistor, which I will test and do on my Fusion before I finalize all of this design. And I see I'm missing a capacitor here. This is 100 microfarad. That takes all kinds of ripple noise out of this gain circuit here, putting 100, and it's a bypass for noise, which brings that noise to ground and keeps the signal across here clean. Alright, band, it's been a long time since I did anything like this. I mean, since I worked with my breadboards was sometime probably in the middle 80s at the latest, and that's why when in 2006 I hadn't touched anything in forever, I decided, oh, well, I am going to get rid of all this stuff so I don't have to move it. And but I did keep all of my components, resistors, transistors, and other things that I have up on the shelf over there in that box. I did keep one power supply. This one, it's a high capacity power supply that I designed way back in the late 70s. It's a 0 to 30 volts with a 0 to, is it 10? I think it's 0 to 10 amps adjustable lab power supply that I built, designed and built. It's heavy as hell. I blew the output transistors in it a long time ago. There's a heatsink in there, about the size of a loaf of bread, with a stack of output transistors. I bought a bunch of them on AliExpress, and that's another project I'm going to do, is to go after that power supply. So I had to buy this breadboard. Oh, and look at the other little toy that I bought. This is really cute. This is a little handheld oscilloscope, single channel. I got this for like 50 bucks on Amazon. It's really cute. You can get them on AliExpress for 35, but I didn't want to wait. So it ended up costing me like 56 to get it fast. I bought a whole bunch of trim pots. I didn't have any of those. I now need to buy a box of capacitors because I need a little bit more values than I have lying around here. and everything seems to be going pretty good so far. So this is like the first part of the work, and then I'll end up seeing what it takes for the Fusion. I'll see if I can make it work to satisfaction, build a one. Oh, I've got some breadboards coming. I want to make it on a really small breadboard, you know, to be able to fit in the back of the cavity. Bob's your uncle. You just got to stick a screwdriver in there, adjust this little trim pot on the bowl. Well, it'll be on the little circuit board to the output you want, and so when you pull the switch and you go to single coil, you're not going to have a drop in output, right? That's the plan. Whew! Cross our fingers. It's a project to fill in some time. I mean, what else am I going to do in retirement, right? I've got a bunch of guitars that are already in the pipeline, and we're doing the guitar story. So this is just one more phase. It's been such a long time since I did anything like this, and you know, going back and having to read, you know, transistor spec sheets and for gain and all that stuff, and kind of current you can put through them. It's been a long time. I knew 2N22s. 22s were pretty handy, and I have a whole box of them here from a long time ago. I found in my box a basic design that I had done way back in the 70s with some formulas for the resistors and things, and the capacitance. So that was handy to find that in the box, because I didn't remember any of that stuff, man. Since the 80s, since I had to do any actual, you know, component work. Yeah. Long time. The brain matter, the gray matter, you know, lost a lot of that stuff. But come back pretty quickly. So stay tuned and see what happens in the next part.